The mayor's just having some technical difficulties.
I feel his pain.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong, he'd like you to start while he figures it out.
Okay, so I can't do two screens at once. So if Lindsay, can you pick a mover and a seconder for who puts up their hands, please?
Sure.
I'll see if I can somehow get rid of this screen without losing everything. Am I there?
Your face is not, but we can still hear you. Oh, now
Okay,
your face is.
Okay, good. As long as you can hear me, that's good. Welcome, everybody. It's 7:03. We'll get started with the regular council meeting for Tuesday, May 5th. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Thank you. There being none, can I have a mover and seconder, please, for the adoption of the agenda? First of all, are there any additions or deletions or amendments?
I have none.
Okay, mover and seconder, please.
Councillor Lang, Councillor Broom.
Thank you. There are no delegations, therefore there's no matters arising out of said nil delegations. Mover and seconder, please, for 6.1, adoption of previous council minutes.
Councillor Broom and Councillor Jacob.
Any issues or concerns? All in favor of receiving this information? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 6.2, April 21st, regular council meeting.
Councillor Lang, Councillor Jacob.
Any issues or concerns? All in favor of receiving this information? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for I'll do 7.1 through 3 combined. Mover and seconder, please.
Councillor Broom, Councillor Lang.
Any issues with the financial overview for January, February, or March? All in favor of receiving his information? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 7.4, bylaw enforcement report.
Councillor Jacob, Councillor Lang.
Comments, issues, or concerns? All in favor of receiving his information? Carried. Mover and seconder for 8.1, correspondence.
Councillor Jacob, Councillor Lang.
Comments or concerns? All in favor of receiving his information? Carried. Mover and seconder for 8.2, please.
Councillor Lang, Councillor Broom.
Thank you. Issues or concerns, comments? All in favor of receiving his information? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 8.3.
Councillor Lang, Councillor Jacob.
Comments, concerns? All in favor of receiving his information? Carried. Are there any support? Was there any support for the request for support?
We had a mover only for request number 1.
Anybody wish to second it to bring it on the table?
Councillor Lang,
Okay. Discussion. Who moved it?
Mayor Peckett.
Oh, great.
If I could comment?
Sure. Thank you,
Okay.
Heather.
I believe that the federal government has come through with funding for commercial businesses. And I believe, if not, maybe the CAO could correct me if I'm incorrect about this, but I believe the Ford government was addressing the eviction issue for commercial businesses. Is that not correct?
I can confirm that the federal government has implemented the CECRA program for rent
Mhm.
relief, which provides up to 75% relief to tenants. 25% being their own responsibility, 25% being the landlord's responsibility, and 50% being the federal government's responsibility. I'm keenly aware of that program. I don't know what the provincial government may or may not have done.
Councillor Lang has her hand up.
Sorry.
I believe that the province was providing some relief. I can't remember the percentage for commercial landlords, but I don't believe the uptake by commercial landlords has been as large as the provincial government was wanting. But, you know, I certainly think that this is a motion worthy of support.
Just moving forward, we'll break protocol a little bit since I can't see you, and please just jump in, and we'll forgive the normal strict nature of our meetings for this particular one. I think this will become irrelevant given the CERCA program. However, I don't think it would be wrong for us to support it neither.
Mhm.
I agree, we should support it.
Okay, Jacob, Oliver, sorry, do you have anything to add?
I think when I look at it, I haven't seen the information from the province about commercial evictions just yet. The province did just announce electricity relief for commercial businesses as well.
Okay.
Now they've previously, about 3 weeks ago, they announced it for residential customers as well as small businesses. They've now extended it to commercial as well. I think the spirit of the letter received from Oakville is definitely positive, and I think it's something that we can support. The specific requests that they're making of the federal government might be a little difficult, like rent subsidies equivalent to a business's sales volume reduction. That's a very, it's very dependent on the businesses providing correct information and being able to calculate that. But it is definitely in spirit something that would be beneficial.
So a little bit more information on the secret program is that businesses have to demonstrate a 70% loss in business volume. I know in my experience that most of the commercial tenants that we deal with have seen said drop because they've been asked to close. So I think this will capture most. I'm in favor of supporting this as well. So all in favor of support of this measure then? Carried. Unfinished business. Mover and seconder for 10.1, please.
Councillor Broom, Councillor Lang.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
Councillor Lang has her hand up.
Thank you. And again, please just go ahead. We'll try not to interrupt each other, but since I can't see you, I can't call upon you either.
It seems very awkward, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll just go with it.
Okay. So I understand about the boat launch, and if the CAO could give some update on this. So the docks are not going in as yet for both Burnstown and Red Pine Bay. Is that correct?
There's some work that needs to be done before we can get them in. The Burnstown one, I believe they're working on getting those in this week. The Red Pine Bay one has a little bit more work that needs to be done before we can get the docks in, but I'm told that the old launch spot works well, so they should be able to be used. And I'm told they were used a lot this weekend with no issues, so.
Okay. If I could just, carry on with this. So what about the boat launches in White Lake and Clay Bank? And I guess this would lead me also to ask about the rowing clubhouse dock, because I'm getting continual emails from the rowing club.
Yeah, I mean, Burnstown's open, so they can put theirs in now.
Okay.
And the other two, I was just waiting to see how this weekend went, and it went well. So I'm going to get staff to open up the other Clay Bank and White Lake this week.
Okay.
The
So I
parks still
presume
remain closed, though.
the parks?
Correct.
So the rowing clubhouse, for instance, couldn't use the clubhouse even though they can put the dock in.
Correct.
Okay.
Wait, what did you say? Sorry?
So the rowing clubhouse wouldn't be able to use the facilities even if they can put the dock in.
Well, they can go to their, shack thing, whatever it's called.
The boathouse, yes.
Yep. They can use that. They just can't go play on the swings or sit at the park in a gathering.
Okay, but they can use their own boathouse. Okay.
Right.
So is there going to be an announcement put out about all of this?
We have.
But for the other.
For the other ones, yeah, I was just waiting to see how this weekend went.
Okay.
And then wait to see if tonight if there was any major issues from council members about not wanting it
Okay.
open, before I had all of them open and then had to close them all if I was told to do that tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we're taking, with respect to the boat launches, I think we're taking a prudent approach. We held off for a bit, and then we saw some additional direction come in from the province. So I think we're taking a prudent approach with that. I am still a little bit concerned about the staff at the landfill, since they're in hand-to-hand contact with, almost said combat, hand-to-hand contact with the patrons coming through. So
Sorry.
hopefully the measures that are being put in place there will provide our guys on site with the proper protection that they need. It looks like we are. I just, if we can just track it and make sure that there aren't any issues, and then do a course correction if required, that'd be great.
Do you want us to tell council what measures we are taking, or
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mr. Frew, would you like to do that?
Yeah, so we have, as part of the notice, we're going to be restricting the payment to debit only. So any payment that's done there is only going to be interactive to the debit machine, where we have, disinfectant and such available to wipe down the machine after every use, as well as we have gloves and protective equipment for the staff there to utilize. There is also a washroom there for hand washing. We've installed plexiglass over one of the windows so that we're limiting the opening for that interaction for payment. As well, we're getting, several of the, kind of COVID signage, reminding people to keep their distance, and we'll also be looking at the site and as it gets operating, if we're going to have to restrict the amount of people that we can, permit into the site over the scales at a certain time. So if we have to limit it to, a specific number of vehicles in order to keep that distancing, then we will implement that as well. But it's really kind of waiting and seeing of how many people come in and what type of loads they have. So there is fairly ample space there for the different leaf and yard waste is typically quite a bit during the spring. So we have 2 locations now set up for accepting the leaf and yard waste. So that will help alleviate some of the pressures of, the increased amount of people coming in. We're also looking at opening up on the Wednesday next week just for leaf and yard waste or brush to help, relieve some of that buildup that people have and that they're eager to get rid of. So trying to spread it out and to make just the number of people coming, during the days or the weekends less. So.
Okay. Thanks. Lindsay, can I ask that you keep a close eye on this for us, please? And we'll have to see if there's any course corrections required. I can anticipate there being a flood of people once we open. There will be a flood of people trying to get into the dump, which may result in some frustration. So we want to make sure that we keep our workers safe, and as well take the lessons learned from day one and make any course corrections that we need to moving forward. Are you good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Is council in support of that?
Mhm.
I believe Councillor Broom wants to speak.
Scott?
Hello. Just a question to you, Mr. Frew. So our 2 workers, one will be in a machine or somewhat directing, so he will be, minimum 6 feet away from anybody. My concern is our worker in the scale. We're able to lock that scale. Nobody goes inside except for our staff, and they're communicating through a window. Am I getting that correct? So that there's going to be nobody inside the shack except for our workers?
Yeah, so we've we've gotten signage made up for the shack to specifically indicate it's for employees only. So and payment signage for where this payment is to be undertaken and stuff like that. So really there's only the interaction or anyone coming to the landfill site that requires to get out of their vehicle at the scales would be if they're paying. So anybody bringing in leaf and yard waste are still remaining in their vehicle. We do have to, interact, through their window to take their, information with regards to where they're coming from and such, but that can be done at a distance, similar to, in the past, we allowed them to fill out their name and address and, to, save on spelling mistakes, but that'll be done through our staff just taking that verbally and recording that information. But
all right, just to follow that
Yeah.
was my only concern, is to keep our staff at a minimum 6 feet and, make sure our staff are 100% protected.
What if people show up with their dump pass?
so we are going to have a container outside the scale house or that they just drop it into the container
Okay.
or
And my
Garbage
follow-up to
thing.
that, sorry, my follow-up to that will be John, who shows up not realizing that he has to pay debit and has his $20 in his pocket. Are we going to allow John to put $20 in to the same basket without receiving change if he doesn't want to turn around and come back?
that currently is not one of the accepted payments that we were going to
Okay.
implement. So no.
Okay, so maybe we'll save that for weekend number 2 and see
So-
if people aren't
Yeah.
quite getting the message.
Yeah, so there could be those are issues that we've spoken about regarding, payment by debit only is, what type of issues are going to arise from that. But
Mhm.
we're hoping to, get the message out. We have lots of signage to put up for that. So people are well aware when they come in. So they won't be surprised when they're ready to be paying. So, and then we'll have to go from there, and we may, have opportunity to, record the information from them and invoice them afterwards if it had to be. But
Okay. Any other comments?
Just one, lost my train of thought now. Yeah, I forgot what it was.
See, I can make a comment, but
Oh, I know what it is now. See, Deputy Mayor, you just had to open your mouth and it came right to me. With regards to the press release for the dump opening up, can we highlight it right in that release that the only acceptable payment right now is debit? We'll just try to get the word out to as many people as we can. And, there just seems to be about a handful of people that keep saying that they need to go right off the bat. But once one goes, everybody's going to go, I think.
yeah, so that's a big part of our messaging will be, the debit only, and then also, if it is something that can wait, to leave it for, a couple weeks for this, the press of the amount of people we anticipate to die down. If you have a small load and you're just looking for something to do, maybe don't come to the landfill the first week, so
Perfect.
that'll be kind of not in those words, but that'll be kind of the messaging to try to, if it can wait, leave it until a couple weeks in,
Perfect.
any other comments?
So I did have one question. In terms of opening up the boat launches, I've been to Red Pine Bay over the weekend, and I just wanted to ask the CIO, do we plan on installing any more signage at our sites that is obvious to people walking or driving?
I wasn't going to because I don't really have a budget for large signs for this. I feel like everywhere you look and hear, everyone's telling you have to be 6 feet away. So, I mean, we all know. And that was also part of my trial with the 2 launches opening only, just to see how it went. And we didn't have any issues with bylaw or anything over the weekend. And most people, when they have to go up and read the sign, they're going to see our other one saying, stay away from each other. So I was not going to.
Okay, and just to follow up, could we post it also on the washroom building? While I was there, I saw many people go up to the sign on the washroom building, the one that says closed for the season. So that might be a good location as well.
Sure.
And just one more question. I know that the boat launches have opened, but has Braeside Beach opened as well? I noticed the gate was open this afternoon.
So we're allowing people to walk through, but
Okay.
not just sit and stay there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Heather, would you have anything on this?
No, I made my comments.
Okay. All in favor of receiving his information then? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 11.1, road allowance Center Street.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's me. Councillor Lang and Councillor Jacob.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
I just have one question, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Sure.
Through you to the CAO or perhaps the Director of Public Works. In the report, it mentions that we're waiting until drainage and roadway design has been finalized. Do we have a sense as to when that will be finalized?
That work is being finalized, as we speak. So we're anticipating that in the next couple weeks or next week in order to, finalize the tender package to go out. So we should have that information, in the short term. So depending on that and what that looks like, then we can make more determination on this request. But until that time, it seems premature to make a determination on it. But once we get that information, then we'll be better prepared to provide an answer.
Perfect. So just my thought, perhaps we should table this until such time as we get the drainage and roadway study, given that it has such an impact on what council could decide on this item.
Go ahead, Ange.
I did get further comments from Mr. Varican that he did do a site visit at the property, and he said unless he knows the dimensions of the road allowance, which in the village of Braeside, I'm pretty sure it's not the standard 66 feet, and the size of the building, he can't determine even if a new build can meet the setbacks on that side. And Mrs. McElwain was saying that it's the parking that's an issue, and she could possibly expand the parking on the other side of the shed and the driveway with no issues on her own property, because her house is legal non-conforming now because she's very close to the road allowance from way back when she bought it. And Chris did look at where the septic and the weeping tiles are, and she does have room to expand her parking, possibly not to build a garage, but she does have room on her own property on the other side. Because it's going to be an expensive process, even if it's not going to interfere with our drainage and our road work, for her to get a survey and then maybe we have to get an appraisal. We have to declare the land surplus. It's not an inexpensive procedure, and in the end, it still may not be possible to do what she wants to do. And if she's willing to move ahead with it that way, once Ryan knows about the road rehabilitation, then so be it. But I just want you to be aware of what's all involved, and there still may not be a building envelope on the left-hand side of the house.
Any other comments? I have one, but I want to wait. I would like to wait. So it sounds like we've been staying in close contact with Miss McElwain, and so I would hope that we would continue to do so, and seeing if there's a way for her to achieve what she wants to achieve, regardless of how the situation unfolds, without breaking the rules or getting anyone into any type of difficulty. So can I trust that there will be follow-ups with her as we move through this process? I asked to Lindsay.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one? I agree with Councillor Jacob that we should probably hold off on this one for now until we get more information. Is everyone in agreement?
Sure.
Yep. Okay, carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 11.2 Madawaska Shores Plan of Subdivision.
Councillor Brown, Councillor Jacob.
Comments or concerns, questions? All in favor of the recommendation? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 11.3.
Councillor Brown, Councillor Lang.
Questions or concerns, comments?
So I just have one comment, Mr. Deputy Mayor. In terms of proclamations, I just wonder if this could be one that staff adds to a listing that we bring forward every year, because it is a very important one, in addition to First Responders Day, which passed last Friday, and Local Government Week, Waste Reduction Week, and all of those typical proclamations that a municipality would make.
Lindsay?
Yeah, we can. If council wants to.
Anybody have any objections to that one? All in favor of this recommendation and that of Councillor Jacobs? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for bylaws 13.1.
Councillor Lang, Councillor Jacob.
Any comments or questions on this one? All in favor? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 13.2, development agreement, numbered company.
Councillor Jacob, Councillor Brown.
Any comments or questions, concerns on this one? All in favor? Carried. Mover and seconder, please, for 13.3, Enbridge gas agreement.
Councillor Brown, Councillor Jacob.
Any comments or questions on this? All in favor? Carried. Do we have any questions from the public, or is anybody online?
There is, and there's no questions.
Well, I'd like to take this moment to thank everybody for their patience on a somewhat unorthodox way of conducting business this evening. Apologize for my inability to be on screen and read through the agenda at the same time, but I have limitations with the technology. So thank you very much. Please note council meeting dates upcoming of May 19th and June 2nd. And note that we have a PAC meeting next Tuesday. Mover and seconder, please, for the confirmatory bylaw.
Councillor Jacob, Councillor Lang.
All in favor? Carried. But before we adjourn, I'll try to come back to the screen.
And ruin our evening?
Thank you, everyone. Sorry. Again, your patience is very much appreciated, and your cooperation with this bizarre way of doing things. So thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Night.
Night all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.